Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all today?
Hi.
Can't believe we're in July. Hello, everyone.
Hi all.
Hi, Julie.
So-
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, everybody that's joined us today. And for those of you that are joining us on Catch Up, I'm super excited for today's episode because it's a bonus episode. We've got our regular monthly Talking Talent next week, but this is a bonus episode that we've slipped in with some really exciting program to talk. Oh, hi, Martin.
Oh.
Martin's here. Three of my favourite people. Bless him. I'll pay you later, Martin. Thanks very much. So many of you know that throughout my years working in recruitment marketing, running contact centre networking groups and best practice events, and judging also for the Northeast and some of the national and European awards over the years, how passionate I am about changing perceptions of this industry, and how passionate I am about promoting contact centre careers as a career of choice. So I'm super excited that today we're actually getting to talk about my passion and talk about, I've invited Sarah Hunt, who's joined Greenbean, and Chris Rainsforth from the forum to talk about a programme that's been developed to do just that. We've got such an amazing opportunity here, and I can't wait to get stuck into dive into it. So Sarah, Chris, welcome today. Two of the biggest influencers in the contact centre industry. So delighted that you're here with us today. Sarah, do you want to go first? Do you want to just introduce yourself? And probably isn't anybody that doesn't know who you are, but just for those that may not or be new to the industry, do you want to just give us a brief introduction?
Oh, how can I top that intro? Thank you, Julie. Welcome, everybody. So for those that don't know me, I'm Sarah Hunt, and I've been in the industry for, over 25 years. And just like you, Julie, and you talked about it then, I'm so passionate about our industry. Started on the phones. It's a very similar story to lots of people out there who started on the phones, didn't think that this was going to be a career of choice, and I've worked in it for 25 years. I've kind of done all roles across most of the contact centres, managed large and small teams. The last 5 years, I've been lucky enough to be on the other side of it, and I've been a lead judge for the Call Centre Management Association. Went and judged all around Europe and all around the UK, looking at best practice and seeing all our wonderful contact centres out there. And as you said, passionate about making this a career of choice for people, which is why I've joined the Greenbean team, and I'm really excited about our Grow programme.
Fantastic. And Chris, do you want to, again, another legend, so there probably isn't many people that don't know of you, so do you want to just give us an introduction for those that may not?
I'll do a brief one. So I took my first call in 1996. We did this maths a few months ago. I took my first call in 1996 for no other reason, just to earn a bit of money so I could go out on the bevy on a weekend. But I think it was around 2000 where I started to really see this as a career. I understood that if I applied myself and thought about what I was doing, I could progress quickly and actually build a really solid career on the back of it. So it's what I've done since that point. So, you know, whether that's being a team leader, an ops manager, running the contact centre or the operation, or working within supporting roles, resource planning, insight, quality assurance across different industries, before moving over to the forum kind of 2012, 2013. And that was help professionalise the industry. Back to your point, Julie, you know, what we do is around professionalisation. It's about giving people credit for the effort that they put in doing a good job. And, you know, I love it. I love it. I can't see me doing anything else. But part of this is bringing on the next generation. I'm not getting any younger. So we need that new generation coming through. And it's one of the reasons why we're launching this programme.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And just before we move on to that, Chris, do you want to give a little bit of background about the forum? Because I think traditionally people may have known it as the Planning Forum. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so great. Yeah, so yeah, we were founded in the year 2000, so we are in our 23rd year as the Professional Planning Forum. So we believe that planning is everything, regardless of the role that you play in an organisation. Planning is everything. So if you're an ops manager, you have to plan. If you're a team leader, you have to plan. You know, planning is everything. But as with anything in our industry, you start to get pigeonholed. So we started to look at resource planning essentially and develop that capability within those areas of the organisation that were relatively forgotten about. We had a lot of development paths for people in operational roles, advisor, team leader to ops manager and above, but we saw very little in regard to those supportive functions, resource planning, and really starting to think about how we do that. So we built on that over the years, moved into looking at the other supporting functions, so data, analytics, insight, MI type teams, and then started to look at the quality assurance, customer experience, knowledge management, L&D teams, those other parts of the contact center industry that are often forgotten about when we talk about contact centers. And now we've developed even further, and we do a lot of support around operational front end. So, you know, whether that's team leader training, whether it's operational management, strategy and leadership, those types of things really help us develop. So we've been doing that now, like I say, 23 years, and we're going from strength to strength. It's a really exciting time to be part of the forum, whether you engage with us through learning or through other means. There's some really good and insightful things happening.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. So I just want to mention to everybody that please feel free to put your questions or your comments or your thoughts. We'll try and get to them throughout the course of our discussion. So this is an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions. So Sarah, we're here to talk about GROW. GROW stands for Get Ready for Opportunities at Work. What does that all mean? What's that all about?
Absolutely does. It's our partnership with Chris and the forum, and Chris mentioned it. It's about this new generation of training and developing people and talent into our industry, and almost positioning the contact centre as a career of choice. I mean, Chris said he started the job just because he wanted some money on a Friday, Saturday night, and then, you know, opened lots of doors and ended up being a 20 plus career, just like myself as well. So GROW is our accredited module based training solution that we've partnered obviously with these guys, and it's all about attracting new talent to our industry. So a lot of people that we've been talking to have said that they're really struggling to attract talent across the industry, and this is about bringing new talent into our industry and then providing them with materials and the knowledge to start that new journey as in a contact center environment. So what we're doing is providing accredited modules. There's 8 in total, and Chris will talk a little bit more about them in the future, which gives you a sense of almost like an introduction to the contact centre. So what the role is going to be like. If you think about some of the challenges that contact centres have around recruiting and attracting talent, but also attrition. This is going to be one of those programs that'll help reduce attrition and attract people to the market.
Okay. So how did this come about? What sort of inspired the Green Bean and the forum to develop the GROW program?
So talking to our clients were coming to us saying that they were struggling to recruit. Our network, a massive network, all the events that we've been doing, people have been talking to us and saying we're really, really struggling with the pipeline and talent. We did some focus groups as well amongst our clients, and what it was showing was that people were struggling to get people in, and then once they were in, there was a real issue with early attrition and not understanding the role, not understanding the culture of a contact centre and what that entails. And the programme that we've built is all about encouraging people in, but also preparing them ready for that induction into their organisation, into a contact centre role, which, as you guys know, can be quite a culture shock if you've never done it before.
Yeah. And I know we certainly see that, you know, there's the danger from the recruitment point of offer, and when they go through a vetting period, that we can lose candidates out of the funnel. And this program is designed to try and reduce that, of losing people from the funnel, so that there's more engaged people at day one. How does that work, Sarah? What's the pre-boarding part of the Grow?
So it's just a great investment by an organisation. As soon as you come in, we'll do all the recruitment, we'll find the right candidate, we'll do all the vetting, and then we will prepare them. In that period, like you said, there's almost a lull between you've been offered the role and you're waiting to start, before you start on day one. And this is a programme that you'll be able to engage with the organisation, feel like you've been invested from a development point of view, and kind of get you started, get you hitting the ground running. And what we've seen is that's what a spot in the contact centre where people have seen quite a lot of challenge. So we're hoping that this programme is going to help in that sorting those problems out.
Great. So Chris, what made you and your team partner with Greenbean to develop this Grow programme?
Well, in reality, it was you, wasn't it, Julie? But let's be real. I think we talked about it quite a bit. In the same vein, what Sarah was saying there, our members and the people we work with, we're really struggling in terms of they go through a recruitment process, especially when we speak to the resource team or the resourcing team are going through and they say, we've got recruitment going on and we're offering 30 people roles and 6 are turning up on day one, right? And so the planning, thinking they're going to have 30 people available to deal with customer demand. On day one, 6 were turning up. They just weren't sticking, or 10 would turn up and they'd last the first week, and then they'd kind of lose 8 of that 10 before moving forward. And they were really struggling, and we were talking about that, Julie. And I think we started to then think about how can we do something that's different, that allows people to understand the role that they're taking on before committing. So they might not fully commit, but let's give them an understanding of what it's going to be like, what's expected of them, what the potential culture, the reality of the role will be. And if they like the sound of it, then let's move them forward, develop some more skills, some more capability, and move them forward through that. And especially when we, as an industry, are trying to bring people in from different other industries. So, we kind of, people that might be moving out of retail, or the actual culture, the way the contact centre works compared to some of those environments is completely different, and I think that understanding of it stops that job shock when they come through. I think that's the key thing. Let's stop people being shocked that they're going to have to be accountable for the performance. They're going to be coached. They're going to be given feedback. All these things that people might not necessarily be used to. And I think, we spoke about it, and then you had that same kind of vision that we can do something different to prepare people in a different way to hopefully build that career of choice, change the perception of the industry completely, that it's not just a stopgap. It can be a career. It can be something you can hang your hat on and be really proud of being part of. And then the other bit, we want to innovate. We always want to innovate. That's part of our kind of ethos as an organisation, to innovate and raise standards within customer operations, whether that's contact centre, branch, field, doesn't matter. But part of what we do is let's do different things to try and just raise that standard, bring the right people in, and like I say, build that next generation. Because without us old laggards that have been knocking about for nearly 30 years, we're not going to be here forever, and we need people that are passionate, and we need people that are invested to continue to drive forward the industry. And I see this as a perfect introduction for people coming into the industry to see how actually fantastic it can be.
Yeah. It's like you said, Chris, about the raising standards bit. It's all of us three have said that before, haven't we? It's we're so passionate about doing that, and there's nothing worse than going into a contact centre, the role that you've not been prepared for, and leaving it, and then telling all your friends that it was awful and you didn't like it. This is a chance for us to prepare that next generation, like you said, Chris, into understanding what it's like in the culture, and that you can make a career of choice out of it.
So what does the programme actually look like? A high-level overview of the Grow programme, Sarah?
So the programme is an e-learning programme. So it's really easy to do on any devices, and you can do it on the bus or on the train, or, wherever you feel suitable to do it. And we've picked 8 modules with a forum that we feel are the best introduction to a contact centre. So I think Chris kind of mentioned it then, that, you know, there is an expectation that you will be coached and you'll get some feedback. So we want to prepare those people for that kind of activity in a contact centre. You know, as we all know, we can use a lot of jargon in contact centres. There's a lot of technical words and phrases. So, you know, we do a little bit in preparing for those kind of things as well. So it's all about centering people ready to go. The process, obviously, after recruitment and the vetting place, is that those modules will take place before they hit day one. And it's there to complement the induction process and the onboarding process for organisations. The great thing about it, and I think Chris will talk about it a little bit later, is that it's accredited as well. Which isn't something normally that we've offered in the industry before. So this is a great, as Chris mentioned about innovating constantly, that's a great advantage as well for people joining and going through this program as well. And you know, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's about retaining people, making sure they're prepared for day one.
Yeah, excellent. So, talking about the modules, they're all e-learning. Chris, do you want to take us through the modules? I know there's two different models, isn't there? There's the off-the-shelf where we've picked what the modules are, and then there's a bespoke option for businesses that want to do something. But do you want to talk us through the modules we've picked for Model 1?
Yeah, so hopefully it gives a good balance in terms of expectation versus that reality of the industry. So we start off with an introduction to contact centres, where we're looking at the history of it, the evolution. We look at things like the evolution of technology and what's there to support you, and you know, really giving people that idea of that it's been around for a long time. You know, the idea of a contact centre or call centre before it, or switchboard before that, or bureau type of it. In fact, these things have been around for a long time. When we first started kind of introducing telephony type activity into an organisation, it was the most sought after job in the country. You know, people wanted to be part of this technological revolution that was happening in terms of customer service. And, you know, the perception back then was completely different to the perception now. So, you know, just talking through how it's grown and how it is a, you know, career that's been around for a while with different iterations, and it's evolved and all that type of stuff. So we do this bit of a history lesson around contact centres. We then talk around how do you build a career. So we talk specifically around career pathways. So we talk around the transferable skills that you'll develop as an advisor in the contact centre, and how you can apply those transferable skills into different roles, whether that is into, you know, a operational hierarchy, so team leader, ops manager, call center manager, whatever it might be, or whether you do want to go off into the tangents, whether it's L&D, whether it's HR and recruitment, whether it's communication, whether it's MI or resource planning, or whatever those things might be. We kind of map out some of those pathways and start to understand what those transferable skills look like and feel like. Sarah mentioned it. We talk around terminology. We are a terminology acronym rich industry, the old TLA, that 3-letter acronym that we are also kind of fond of. So we kind of break down some of that common terminology, and then we talk around managing yourself. So how you can be prepared with the right mindset, the right behavior, the right attitude when you're in the organization. So things like making sure you keep on top of your schedule, make sure you understand when your breaks and your lunches are, make sure you understand the holiday booking process, you know, all those things, you know, getting there early for work, testing your equipment, making sure you're up to date on any communication that's happening while you've been either off shift or on, you know, so just getting people into that thing of going, you know, how do you look after your own performance? How do you look after yourself to be prepared to deliver the best service that you can deliver? And that's pre-boarding. Then when we move into post-boarding, we start to look at things a bit more technically. So we talk around the power of one. Everyone on here hopefully understands the power of one. But that idea of contact centre dynamics and what role they play in delivering service during the day, you know, what does that mean for them? So we dig into that a little bit deeper. We talk more about being prepared for feedback. So what can they expect from coaching, development? what do they need to, what behavior do they need to display when they're receiving that stuff? How do they build a relationship with their coach or their mentor, or whoever it might be? And just being really clear on these things are going to happen. You're going to be measured on your performance. You are going to be given feedback on that performance. You are going to have to own your performance, and you are going to have to do things to improve. And, I don't want to scare people, but actually just giving that reality bite that says these things are going to be expected of you. So this, you get the most out of that interaction with your team. We then talk around communication in a bit more detail. So really building on that communication platform. And we talk a lot about then understanding some of those support teams that sit within your organisation so that it support you. And
I think we've temporarily lost Chris there, and that's a great freeze frame, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Perfect one, isn't it? It's really interesting. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, Chris, we lost you for a moment there.
Where did I get to before you lost me?
Well, it was a great freeze frame moment that I wish I'd captured that on camera. So we're talking about right. I've lost it.
You were talking about communication. You were talking about the communication module.
Yeah. All right. So communication. So we're looking at some of that thing, how you can build empathy, how you can be prepared and develop your communication skills. I had a conversation with someone that said, "Can you teach people how to be better communicators?" And my kind of feeling is, yes, you can. You can teach people some principles that if they apply those principles, they will automatically become a better communicator. So making sure you have clarity and you're conscious, and in terms of what you're doing, you're always being courteous, you're confident in what you're delivering, you're setting the right context, those types of things. How you develop empathy, how you show empathy, and those types of things can be really powerful. And then the final module of that post one is around just understanding that support that's around you. So the teams that work around you within the contact center that there to support you. So your L&D teams, your HR teams, your planning teams, all these other parts of the business that are there to make you be prepared and deliver the best service that you can deliver. So that hopefully we covered that. Sorry about the technical blip in between.
Oh, it just sent to try us, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't it? It's really interesting, the Power of One module, isn't it? I remember the very first time someone taught me through that, the Power of One, and just how incredible it is, your influence on that and the rest of the contact center, and then the service to the customers as well. So just that module alone is just so powerful, isn't it? And just something that you get to grips with really quickly.
And I think what I found from going through all of the modules and, being in the industry for so long and feel, I learned quite a bit going through the modules as well, and learned refreshed on a lot of things. It was absolutely phenomenal on the pre-boarding side of it, what I could pick up about the history of the industry. It does really give a good basis and a good grounding.
It's really interesting you say that, because as I was writing these modules and starting to develop them and tweak them, I was obviously doing little versions of it, sharing it with my team and going, have a look at that. Does it sound right? Does it make sense? Am I waffling, whatever it might be. And even a couple of the teams, I sent them to our admin team who haven't got an industry background, so they don't, they're working either our finance, doing invoicing, or they're working in some of our admin support teams. And I got them to watch them, and they came back and said, you know what, actually, anyone that joins our company going forward, just let them watch these modules, because, they really kind of get into that understanding really quickly. And, I think Marie, one of my colleagues, turned out, wish I had seen them when I first joined, because actually now I know what you're talking about when we're going to a team meeting or whatever it might be. So really important modules, I think.
Definitely. We've rolled it out internally of all our recruitment teams as well, so that, it adds to their knowledge as well. So it is a fabulous program. So Sarah, you mentioned that the program aims to reduce early attrition. How do you see this happening?
Yeah, so what recently we got a report from Contact Babel, and you guys are probably really familiar with that, and you can access it. But 84% of attrition in the contact center is wrong person for the role. which is just speaks volumes, doesn't it? And it's clearly one of the biggest challenges that contact centres face, and have always faced. So we've talked about it before, haven't we? And Chris has talked about it. The more we can prepare people for this role, and to say to them, this is the role, you are going to be measured. These are the kind of things that you will be. People will be talking to you about and you'll be dealing with. These are the customers, and however we can prepare you, will obviously get to the point where you say, this is the job for me, this is the career for me, this is kind of where I want to be as well. So we can already see, talking to people that and our customers and the focus group that we've already done, some of our clients, that this is the most important bit, that bit between being offered, not quite understanding the culture or the role or the organisation, and preparing people ready for day one. So we believe it's going to have a massive impact on attrition for those organisations that then do it and use it.
And then the post-boarding modules, taking them through to talk to us about how that takes you through to accreditation and what that process is once they've actually started.
Is that me? Sorry, I missed a bit. Is that for me?
Either of you can take it. Go on, Chris, you take it.
I'll take it. I like doing it. Right. So, I think the key thing for me is what we are really passionate about is giving people recognition for the effort they put into their own development. And what we want people to do, especially as we go through their career, is to actually move away from just having everything mandated. Now, there'll always be mandated training. You'll have to learn things about the role that you do, the systems that they use, the processes, the policies, whatever it might be. This mandated stuff we can get hold of and we can train it. What we're trying to do is when you do something outside of that mandated learning, you actually get recognised for it. So we've had accreditation through our programs for a lot of years. But we did think that actually, to this foundational level, they're going to take some time during the recruitment process to learn. So why not, when they've gone through that recruitment process, they've put that effort in, actually give them that accreditation to say, well done, you've spent that time, you've done the effort, you've bettered yourself, you've improved your understanding, you've improved your knowledge, and hopefully improved your capability. So we can take some of that pressure off the internal training teams, that they can then concentrate on that mandated stuff in the first instance, because they're getting people that are coming into the organisation that understand the role they're there to play. And that's why then when they get to that point, we say, well done, there's your accreditation certificate. And then if they continue their learning through their career, they can get reaccredited, build their accreditation, learn more skills, more capability, be more kind of just exploratory in their learning, to learn more about our industry, learn different skills, different capabilities, and build on that level of accreditation.
Yeah. I actually went to a seminar yesterday about retention and the psychology and science on human behaviour on retention. And one of the big things that came out was saying people want to feel like they've accomplished something, and that's a key to retention, a key to keeping people motivated at work. So what more than to accreditate them after they've gone through a programme of learning, to say, well done, you've accomplished something. It's an ongoing learning process from there.
Yeah. So Sarah, I know Chris briefly touched on it, how it works alongside internal training teams. Does this work for all internal training teams? How do you see this working?
Yeah, absolutely. This is like to complement with internal training teams. It's not to replace anything. We don't want to do that. This is absolutely complementing internal teams. And it gives those internal teams just something extra in their kit bag. We always know that sometimes, I'm sure we've all experienced it before, where people have taken training time away from people and from onboarding and inductions to save cost or to kind of improve efficiency. And this is about being able to help those internal training teams to focus on the nuances of their own training and their own technical training potentially and cultural stuff, and to complement those. I think you talked about it a little bit before. Ours are the off-the-shelf programs, but we do a bespoke one which can fit and be tailored into your organisation as well. So we'll work with internal training teams to get the right fit for that organisation as well.
Okay, we've got an interesting thought from, well, actually, firstly, we've got Danny Wareham, thinking out loud, is wrong person for the role that they're really the wrong person, or is it a catch-all to remove the blame from whoever selected that person for the role?
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, Danny. Thanks for that question. Yeah, and you know what? It could well be those people, one of those 84% could be the right person for the role. It's just that they haven't had the opportunity to experience what that role is in that early part of the journey. And that's where our programme will help support that, in that it will give that view very, very early on so that you can make a decision and go through.
And then we've got an interesting question from Danny Gunn. One of the attrition risks I see is the fear from the voice element of the roles when they take the first calls with real customers. Does Grow help address this? Chris, do you want to take that one?
So nice to see you, Danny. And other Danny, it's always dangerous when he thinks out loud. So I'm glad you've covered that one, Sarah. But no, so Mr. Gunn, nice to see you. I think yes, it does to a degree. I think is there more we can do? Yes, around that. But I'm hoping that the way we've led that learning, there is a clear understanding of what's expected of them. Hopefully the organisation that they recruit into will give them the fundamental capability or that practice to deal with customers in that live environment. Because I think for anything that we do through an induction program, we can never replicate that live environment. We can role play, we can do test calls, we can do various other things that and we can build that, but we can never change that real situation, that real passion, that real moment that happens when a customer first contacts you. And I think if we can prepare people to be better communicators, understand, listen better, be patient, understand their own expectation, they should be better prepared to deal with that customer at that point, I would like to believe.
And interesting from Trevor Butterworth. Sarah, do you want to take this? Why are we not looking at engaging 50+ candidates to the sector?
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. Thank you. We are absolutely, and this programme is built for that age range that maybe have not been in a contact centre before, maybe have had a job, semi-retired or retired for whatever reason, and kind of maybe wants to pick up some part-time work or temporary work, and are looking at this sector because that's a sector that can offer that. And then our programme will help bring those candidates back into the market, into our contact centre, and prepare them for it. So it's absolutely tapping into new sectors and new talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please
keep the questions coming in. Loving the questions.
Thousands to go through, right? That's the bottom line. We want this. We want this to become the standard for recruitment going forward into our industry. That's the point of it. That we are selling organisations short. Organisations get the right people. Organisations then are saving money by not having to continually reinvest that through their attrition. So it's a good point, Trevor. But I think what we try to do is we like anything, what's the old thing? Build it and they will come. That's what we hope.
So Sarah, you just looking at talking about the cost of this, you touched on cost before. What's the sort of cost to business in terms of their effort level and monetary cost?
So because it is new to market, we're going out with an introductory offer. So for the end-to-end piece, which is obviously the recruitment of the individual through all the recruitment process to vetting to actually then going through the 8 modules, it's £1,250 per person. So we think that's a great offer for now, introductory, and we want to kind of, as Chris said, we want it to go out to every business, because we feel like it's a commitment back to our industry from that business to say, we want to get the right people in the role and we want to prepare them, we want to set expectations, and obviously this is the way to do it.
Great. Okay. And that includes accreditation?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned an introductory offer. Do we know how long that is for, or what pilots have you got at the moment, or is that?
So
We're
we've
just
got a
seeing.
couple of pilots running, which is fantastic for us because it just gives us some great testimonials and some great insights, and is able to, we can then feed back into our bespoke models. And as Chris said, we're always reinventing and inventing. So it's great to get some feedback from the pilots that we're actually doing as well.
Great.
We haven't really put a timeline on the introductory offer, but as I said, it started already for us, and we're piloting. So we're hoping to just engage a few more organisations and really start to build up some momentum, as Chris said, because the end goal is that everybody's doing this as standard.
Yeah, excellent. And hopefully we'll reduce attrition and change perceptions of the industry, because we're not recruiting the wrong people into the job, because we're not managing their expectations. We're not setting the scene. We're just, hitting head count. So we're going to lose people. We're not going to lose people out the bottom of the funnel as much. So I'm super excited. So Danny, we've got another comment from him. Historically, we've not been great in developing interpersonal skills in new managers in the contact centre, so there may be a fear of managing people with more life experience. I certainly see this as unofficial feedback. Couldn't hire him, he'll have my job in 6 months. That's really interesting, Danny. Thank you for that. And Leanne answers, she thinks it's also about making sure that the attraction and recruitment strategy is as inclusive as possible to make sure we reach all demographic groups. And I think that's a really, really good point, because for me, this could be retail, hospitality, leisure, over 50s, all the minority groups. There's something for everyone. And I guess something we haven't quickly mentioned, we've talked about they're doing this e-learning, pre-boarding and post-boarding. What's the timescales of each module or box set that we're going through?
So the modules are being designed to be really bite-sized. So I think the longest one's about 11 minutes at the most, and that's in the edit. We're trying to get it down to 10. So the idea being that everything's under 10 minutes.
That would be great if you can't get it down to 10, because the marketing's all says.
I know. It's like 10:37, so it starts with a 10. We can mark it as 10 minutes. It's fine.
All right.
So the idea being that you can do these modules really bite-sized. You don't have to invest a lot of effort, so you're not sitting there and listening to me or one of the team kind of rattle on for 40 minutes at a time. You can take your time over whatever the period is through that pre-boarding piece for it to go. You could do one a day over a week. You could do them all you could do them all in an hour if you wanted. It's that thing. One of the things that we'll build into the academy that they're going through is just some recognition that they've learned. So they will be asked questions. What have they learned by watching this module? What are they going to do differently, or how might they apply that in their role? So we're starting to get them to understand, that they're learning something and that they can apply that newfound information or knowledge into the way they work. So we'll be checking that. So there's a little bit of effort from their side in that regard. But the modules, 10 minutes, easy. Some are shorter than that. It is a mix, but we try to keep it as below 10 minutes as much as possible.
And the portal's all mobile enabled, so they can listen on the go. It could be sat on the metro or.
Yeah, so you can use any. It's browser based, so you get a URL which will get them in. You'll get your login provided by Greenbean, and then you can go on and complete. And because you're using a login, it's browser based. It tracks your progress from device to device. So if I start on my phone and then I go on my laptop because I'm sat at home, or I do it on my iPad or whatever it might be, it continues to track that progress. So you don't have to worry that you've got to stick with the same device and do it, stick in the same environment. You can mix it around and it'll track your progress from wherever and however you access it.
And you can listen again as well. You can go over modules again in that period. If you kind of, fancy listening again to it, that's open to you. Or, we talked about before about supporting the internal training teams. They could do it as a session, at the beginning of the training, pick one and everybody does it in the room, all the delegates. It's open to be done flexibly, however, whatever works for individual and for that organisation.
Perfect. And if encourage any more questions coming in. We do have some time for questions. But Chris, any more thoughts on haven't seen anything like this. You do a lot of learning for organisations. Have you seen anything like this before?
So not to this scale. I think we work with a lot of organisations that are committed in development, and the commitment is with the people that are already enrolled. So people that are working in these roles. So we do a lot of training for team leaders, do a lot of training for those support functions, whether that's resource planners and analysts. So it's people developing their already existing skill set and going from there. We are starting to work more with organisations that are looking at that kind of induction period. So once they're in the organisation, how does that, how do we deliver some of that? So again, so they can focus on the business and the systems and the process and the policies, and actually how do we get them to understand the contact centre dynamics that sit around that. But this is a first. It's a first. It's unique. It is. I think it's got the potential to be revolutionary. I think the thing that is people not to be scared of it. I think we worry, and I think we are as an industry sometimes scared of change. Although we change fast as an industry, we are scared of change, especially around things like this. Technology is another thing. We're scared of technology to a degree, so it takes us a while to deploy or think about it or whatever, understand the ROI, understand how that's going to impact us. I think what we need for people to engage with this is just some forward-thinking organisations that are really kind of feeling the pinch, and I think they'll see a massive benefit. They'll see a benefit quickly, and hopefully then, like I said, it sets the standard for how we recruit the industry going forward. This is unique for me.
Yeah. It feels like a no-brainer to me as well, doesn't it? We're basically recruiting new talent from a different talent pool, and actually adding on a learning module that helps your candidate prepare for their journey, but with the same cost that it would cost you to do it, just recruit people anyway. So it does feel like it's part of parcel of what we would normally do.
Yeah. And we've had a thumbs up from Danny Wareham. Sounds like a really good programme, bite-sized and purposeful. Thanks, Danny. That means a lot coming from you. Brilliant.
We're trying to give organisations lots of happy bees, Danny. So hopefully.
Yes. I wonder if we could incorporate a bee somewhere in their accreditation. So finishing off on the accreditation, Chris, what's your final words on the different levels of accreditation and the accreditation post-board, and they receive that at point of probation review? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. So the idea is, I think depends. I think probation review is probably a good point. I mean, I'm happy. Again, it all comes down to the organisation, what we're going to do. But yeah, so if they complete that training and they take on that role, then for me that's worthy of accreditation, as long as they kind of give us that evidence of learning, which we talked about. And there's digital learning logs that will complete as they go through it. So that then is there in terms of their future progression. It's up to them, speak to their line manager, speak to their organisation around what additional routes to development there is for them as they become comfortable in role, confident in role. What is their next stage? We offer 4 levels of accreditation at the forum, depending on skills and capability and what you're doing. Foundation being the base level, but it's that first step on anyone's career is to be, let's be recognised at an initial level. If they continue to develop and they do other things, it's about documenting learning. I always think it's all about telling people what you're learning. So document what you're doing differently. How are you taking that learning and applying it in your role? Not I've just read this book. Well, okay, so you read that book. What are you going to do with the information that book contained? What have you taken from that book that you are then going to, doesn't always have to be formal training. It just needs to be a recognition that you're investing some time in your own development, your own skills, your own capability. So as people do that and they document and evidence their learning, then they can get, higher levels of accreditation based on that.
And Sarah, final thoughts. Obviously, it's a differentiator for businesses to offer the accreditation and be a differentiator to where a candidate might have another 3 or 4 opportunities to go to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people said it at the beginning, isn't it? This is about elevating the roles in our industry and offering out to talent pools that maybe haven't been available to us before, and also allowing organisations to really invest in their people. We talk a lot about organisations wanting to do this. This is a great start alongside lots of other things that they might do in order to invest in the people. So yeah, you know, we've all talked about how passionate we are about our industry and how we started. You know, I'd have loved to have gone back 25 years and, you know, and had this program available to me, so I knew what I was going into, and I still would have made the choice, you know, because it's been a great career.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
But we've got loads more information on our website as well. And if anybody wants to have a chat with me, just drop me a note or give me a bell, and we can talk through it as well. So yeah.
Perfect. We'll put the link in the chat as well
Right.
afterwards, so everyone can receive that. And I said, Sarah, anybody wanting to get in touch with you, what's the best way of them to reach out?
So on my email, which we'll put a link in this chat, and or direct message me on LinkedIn, whichever way you want to.
Perfect. And Chris, if anybody wants to reach out to you to find out more?
I'm omnipresent. So, however, LinkedIn's great. So just drop me a follow or drop me a note on LinkedIn. Go to the website, theforum.social. I'll make Julie put a link into our website in the chat as well. So yeah, just reach out. We've got loads of stuff. Even if you're past that recruitment stage and you're looking to how you continue to develop your people going forward, reach out. We've got lots of options available.
Perfect. Well, thank you both for your time today. It's been super, as I say, super excited because it's talking about something I'm so passionate about. And I really, as Chris says, I really think it could revolutionise how we bring people into the industry and hopefully manage their expectations and stop giving us a bad rep for, you know, bringing people in and them dropping out the bottom of the bucket. So I'm super excited to see how it goes. And just final words from me. This was a bonus episode. Next week we've got the monthly Talking Talent episode where we're talking with Tony Neal from NHSBSC. He is an ambassador internally and ally for menopause. He's part of their shadow board for ED&I. He's part of their disability networks, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what his role is within the organisation, but also what NHSBSA are doing around ED&I and how they're building their ally network and getting champions on board there. So there's some really good stuff to come out of that conversation, and that is next Thursday at 12 o'clock. The 13th of July. So please, details will be going up on LinkedIn shortly after this as well. And please join into that. And if there's any topics that you want us to try and cover, or if you would be interested in coming in as a thought leader yourself to chat on Talking Talent, please drop me a note. We'll love talking contact centres. So we'd love to find out more about your thoughts and your thought leadership or anything new you're doing in the industry. So drop me a note. And I've just seen Alison from the forums just popped in your website. Well done, Alison. Thank you.
She's a good egg. She's a good egg.
Brilliant. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much again for your time today. Oh, we've got Danny saying, sounds a great product and partnership. Wishing you all the success with this and helping to improve our industry. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Cheers, Danny.
We've got the thumbs up from some of the amazing thought leaders in the industry. So, okay, guys, thanks very much for your time today. And we will see you again, hopefully next week. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.